Hey, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, Facebook Live. Nice to see you all. Give me one moment while I get Instagram going. Let's see. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, Instagram. Nice to see you all in here. Let me see if I adjust this a little. There we go. Now, as you are tuning in, I would love to know, number one, where you're tuning in from. Number two, love to know three things you're grateful for. Today, we're on day number 36 of our 100-day personal performance and business growth challenge. Today's topic, for those of you who are interested, I see lots of you joining. Today's topic is the third piece of our 4-part series focused on things that can mess up your relationship. Now, if you've been with us for all 3 parts, or the first 2 so far, the first thing that can jack up your relationship is expectations and assumptions of how it's supposed to be, without expressing those expectations or assumptions to the other party involved in your business relationship, intimate relationship, friendship, or whatever else it is that you're involved in. So the second piece is the lack of consistently updating the plan or the rules or the guidebook based on an environmental shift. So a new job, a new child, moving to a new environment, building a new peer group, making more or less money, like anything that shifts is going to cause you to have to update the rule book or the plan or the playbook on how y'all are doing relationships. So that's number 2. Number 3, which is today, is constant communication. It's perfect timing. Someone sent me a message who watches my page here earlier today, and the message said, "How do you and your wife fight? Can you please do something based on how you and your wife fight with each other?" Well, I just wrote back really simple. He said, "Well, how do you fight? Like, do you have a strategy? Do you have an approach to fighting? How do you fight with each other?" And I said, we have one rule. We don't fight. And he's like, "No, but like when you disagree with each other, like when you have to fight it out, how do you do that?" I said, "We don't." I grew up with a family that has a lot of hot-blooded individuals who are very expressive and passionate and loud. I grew up seeing the conscious version of that, which is just loudly expressing who you are. And then I grew up seeing the unconscious version of that, which was holes in the wall, shit being thrown, people stomping down the hallway and slamming doors. And I was just like, wow, that's very unconscious. And Maggie says, "What a question." Yeah, it was a question. I was laughing. It's an interesting question because people, again, when you go back to the expectations and assumptions, some people assume you're supposed to fight in relationships. Some people assume that's just how you express yourself. And so I was very clear that when I was looking for my wife, I wanted to know one thing in communication, which was, what is your fighting style? And I think this is what he was asking for. And I wanted to make sure that some people, their fighting style is to call names and yell and scream and pout, and they call it expressing themselves. For other people, they're very quiet and tactful, and they just think it through. I said, I want to find someone whose fighting style is what the fighting style that I choose. And the fighting style that I choose is called just communication. We sit down, we breathe, we let it go, we get back to what's real, and we say, okay, how do I express what's true to me right now? And it starts off with, my hallucination is, it's my hallucination. I might be wrong. I might be seeing things. I might have fucking blurry vision right now. I don't know. I might be upset. I might have stubbed my toe earlier today, and that's still pissing me off, and therefore it's going to cause tension in this conversation. So I just first breathe. Now, there's a very specific technique a friend of mine taught that resets your entire nervous system when you get hooked or jacked or emotionally triggered. And what it is you breathe all the way in really slow, At the very top, you take in a little bit more, and then you squeeze it. And you squeeze 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You squeeze all your neck muscles and all your face muscles and all your toe muscles and all your hand muscles. You squeeze as hard as you can. You count to 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you let it go. And you got to drop. You got to drop your head. You got to drop your neck. You got to drop your body and go. Then you do it again. You do it 3 times, and it resets your entire nervous system to undo the trigger that's just been cascading off in your body, causing this emotional response or reaction of like, in the moment. So 1, reset. 2, come from the place. My hallucination is, this is what I'm observing. This is what I'm seeing. This is what happened. And then you got to be really fucking bold and ask the next question. Is that true? Is it true? Because what happens is if you reset your nervous system and you say, my hallucination is, you just did something really mean to me. And then you got to stop. And you got to look the other person in the eye and say, is that true? Did you poke me in the heart? And they go, oh my gosh, that's not true. I did not mean to poke you in the heart. Now, there's an apology. I apologize if it felt like I poked you in the heart. That was not my intention. I apologize if it felt like I poked you in the heart. That was not my intention. My intention was clearly communicate what your intention was. Now the other person goes, oh my gosh, I hear your intention. That's not what it felt like because of blah. And the other person goes, oh my gosh, I would never want you to feel that way because I love you. I want the best for you. I want the most for you. I would love to help you feel more love, joy, happiness, whatever. I'm sorry. There's another layer. If maybe it's deeper. I'm sorry I hurt your feelings if that's what happened. I'll take ownership. Not I'm sorry your feelings are hurt. Not I'm sorry you got butt hurt over that. Not I'm sorry you decided to be upset. That's your choice, not mine. Not you're in charge of your emotions. Make your fucking move and decide to change your state. Bullshit. That's great. Not in relationships. What I've learned. And so in a relationship, you got to own it and say, I'm sorry I hurt your feelings. I'm sorry that's what was experienced. You go, okay. Now you move forward and you say, okay, what is it that you were trying to express? The other person goes, oh my God, what I was trying to express was this. And you go, okay, well, let's work through that. The other thing that happens in these situations is a power struggle. Here's what I want versus here's what you want versus here's what I want versus here's what you want. There's a way to get through this. It's called elevating to a bigger fucking problem that has more to do with than just what you or I want in this moment. And so one strategy is to elevate. What's a bigger problem that would cause us to have to be on the same team to get through this moment? What's a bigger problem? Someone messaged me earlier and said, my husband wants this and I want this. And my family says this and his family says this. And I said, this will never work. This will never get through this. I said, y'all need to elevate and find a bigger damn problem to focus on that causes you to have to align to get through that problem. And the bigger problem was, well, don't we both want our child to have a good life? And now it goes, this is what I want. This is what he wants. And you go, wait a minute. Don't we both want our child to have a good life? Let's elevate to a bigger problem and figure out how to solve this versus what you want or I want. Is another way to get through it. How do you get through to people who don't speak out or communicate? Well, oftentimes, according to research, these people land up in juvenile hall, in prison, in jail, because more often than not, they run out of words to express themselves, and so they turn to violence of some way, shape, or form. And so if someone's having trouble expressing themselves, a communication course would be a really, really good investment. to teach them how to express themselves, how to voice their emotions, how to voice their feelings, how to voice misunderstandings and everything else in between. There's wonderful books written on this stuff. And so the other example, a great friend of mine taught me in relationships, if there's a disagreement and there needs to be communication, find a value that's more important than any one moment. So let's say love is most important. Then you get in an argument and it's me versus them and this hurt my feelings and that jacked me up. And you step back for a second and go, wait a second. You say left, I say right. Let's both take a second. Let's reset. Let's communicate. And let's say, hey, what would love do right now? What would love do in this decision? And all of a sudden, a higher value allows a decision to be made that both of you go, you know what? Love would go right. Love would go right. Like, okay, since love would do it, let's do it. And now you go right, and not begrudgingly, not frustratedly. You go right because all of a sudden, that's what love would do. And you both agreed before the argument, before the fight, which is the key. You sat down and agreed that there was a third pillar or a third pole, my friend says, that's more important than any one moment. And that allows you to say, what would the third pillar do in that moment? That allows you to guide the decision. So these are some simple tips on communication. The other piece is, if you get into an argument and it's you versus them, a big question is, if I was fighting for their happiness right now, if I was fighting for their side right now, how could I step up and deliver for them? If you can find a way to get to a point where you're selfless and you're not fighting anymore, if you want to fight for their side. And what happens is, if you show up constantly fighting for them, guess what happens? Eventually, they show up and constantly fight for you. And it turns into, no, let's do this for you. And they go, no, let's do this for you. And you go, no, let's do this for you because that's what you want. And they go, no, but this is what you want. Now it's a great fight. Now you guys are fighting for each other instead of against each other. So if you want to fight for each other. Don't fight against each other. All these little tips are game changers in the moment, but I'll tell you the key. You got to decide this stuff before you ever get to the fight, because once you're in the fight, you're screwed if you haven't practiced. And so lots of places to learn this stuff, lots of places to practice this stuff. It all comes around communication. And it's really practicing, learning to understand, learning to hear, learning to be present, regardless of what triggers hook you or pull you in the moment, and choosing to fight for your spouse, not against your spouse and your business partners and everyone else you're in these moments with. I hope this is helpful. I hope this is useful. If you know someone who needs to see this, tag them in it or share it with them. I have to go because there's a crew coming over for an interview here in a few minutes. Hope you have an amazing morning, evening, afternoon. I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow for day number 7 of our 100-day personal performance and business growth challenge. Have a good one, everyone.